Measle, a 54-year-old woman. I'd like to say I'm just an ordinary person, but according to my sister-in-law's side, I'm someone who's had it easy and doesn't know the struggles of ordinary people.
More on that later.
My husband, Jacob, is also 54, the same age as me. We both work full-time during the weekdays. We don't have children.
The reason for this is that my house is in a very good location. It's close to areas like San Francisco's Chinatown and the posh neighborhoods, and of course, it's within walking distance to a major transit hub.
My grandfather built a house on his land, which my parents inherited, and after they passed away, Jacob and I moved there from our apartment.
Now my Sile, who's 46, 8 years younger than us,
she often visits our home, leaving her husband and 12-year-old child behind. She travels for 2 hours to visit us once every 3 months over the weekend. She loves the area near our house. This Sile, 8 years younger than my brother. Jacob said she was born when he was in elementary school and was small and cute. And she was adored by their parents, as she was a late addition to the family.
However, I've never really taken to her.
She often makes bitter comments like, must be nice to grow up here without any hardships.
She frequently says things like, I was born in the countryside where there weren't many places to hang out. You must have grown up so comfortably without knowing such struggles.
It's clear she's not friendly towards me, but she seems to like our neighborhood and comes to visit this house without bringing any gifts, saying you just look down on anything from the countryside.
She came empty-handed and said, it's nice, isn't it, being so close to all these places? You don't have any difficulties, do you? I can't believe you can live without a car. For us country people, we can't live without a car, so we have to spend a lot on transportation. But the area you live in is nice too. I like it.
I say, only to be met with, what's that, sarcasm? Like, it's nice because it has good transport and lots of shops.
If I say I don't go out much because I'm working during the day, you say, that really sounds sarcastic. Like, of course, tourist spots are nearby, unlike you.
It makes you want to ask, who's actually being sarcastic? Frustrated by her sharp tongue, I've complained to Jacob, but he dismisses it, saying, my sister is just very straightforward. She's just being frank.
That's recently. I heard that she's building a house.
When she visited our house again, when I asked about it, she retorted, where else but near our current home? We had to buy the land. Unlike you, who inherited such a great location, must be nice being rich.
Where else but near our current home? We had to buy the land. Unlike you, who inherited such a great location. Must be nice being rich.
I was so irritated by being constantly told this that I asked, so how should I speak so you don't take it as sarcasm?
Wouldn't it be better to stay silent? LOL. Everything I say comes out as sarcasm anyway.
I'd become silent in response. I was eventually excluded from the conversation. Since then, she still visits but doesn't speak a word to me. Yet she comes, more often now with Jacob's permission.
Hey, listen. Your sister. She comes to our house and ignores me. Even though she's taking a bath, even though she's eating here, she ignores me.
I said this to my husband. Jacob responded, that's just how she is, straightforward and no nonsense. You don't have to talk if you don't want to.
She probably leaves her husband and kid at home, so she doesn't have to be on her best behavior, right? It's about not having to be polite with each other.
Still, it's hard to deal with. Today, like always, she went off to Chinatown on her own, came back, used the bath, and went to sleep. The next morning, she silently ate the breakfast I prepared and left without a word of thanks. Do we run a hotel here? Am I the innkeeper, the waitress, and the chef? If so, I wish she'd at least buy a yearly pass. 3 months later, she was back again. Today, she seemed to be planning to explore the fancy neighborhood. Later, she spent the evening talking with Jacob. After staying the night, she left and Jacob, excited, showed me a bunch of photos. Look at this. It's the house my sister built.
Oh, she built a house, huh?
Check this out. You'll like this.
He said, showing me a picture of a brand new white building.
It looked clean and new. Jacob was showing me with heavy brats.
Isn't this amazing? Huh.
I told him my head. What appeared to be a garage. I can see it, but when I look at the mop shown with it, it is clearly not large enough to fit a car.
Is this a What Wing Takes experience?
I was shocked. Yeah, I've been telling you, I hardly will fit in there. You say, I'm telling you, but I don't know what you mean when you say that. It's your sister's house, right? No, we've been talking about swapping houses. I was surprised by the unexpected reply and development. I accidentally dropped the teacup I was holding. She has been telling me for a while that this house is in a good location. I told her I didn't like it because it was old and had been there since your parents' time. Then my sister said, well, we're building a new house here, so let's trade houses. So I had a garage built especially for my Harley.
About what?
Without any consultation.
You can't be serious. I don't want to leave this house.
I wasn't really thinking about her house. I was too shocked to process it all. Jacob seemed surprised by my opposition and started to get irritated. By me, the shock on his face was unexpected.
What's the hesitation for? We've been discussing this for a long time.
Maybe, but I wasn't part of that conversation. I've been ignored this whole time.
Think about it, it's all benefits. Sure's a garage for the bike and all.
Wait a minute, what about my feelings?
Your hobby is watching suspense shows, right? You can do that at the other house too.
True. Jacob loves his Harley Davidson, almost as much as his own life. As for me, my biggest pastime is watching TV suspense shows like Forensic Files or Inspector Gadget Mysteries. But commuting from there.
It's just a bit more time on the bus and train, Jacob said.
Just a bit. That's an extra 2 hours. I exclaimed.
I can commute on my Harley. You could use the extra commuting time as a forced diet, given you've been putting on weight.
A forced diet seemed like an understatement. The daily agony of it all. But Jacob's mind was filled with thoughts of the new house and the custom garage for his Harley. It seemed like my lingering attachment to our old house was both unexpected and irritating to him, and he genuinely became angry. Finally, Jacob resorted to drastic measures.
I'm giving our house to my sister and her husband. It's a new build with a bike garage. I don't see why you'd refuse. If you do, let's divorce.
What? Divorce? Did he just mention divorce? I couldn't believe he was pushing it to this extent.
Okay, just give me one night to think about it.
That was all I could muster. I spent about 2 hours in shock, lying in bed. The house with a bike garage seemed built specifically for Jacob. My sill didn't even have a motorcycle, indicating that this plan had been in the works from the start. But then, Jacob's eagerness to agree without consulting me was another matter. And to decide on his own and threaten divorce. It felt like blackmail. Forgivable. So, I spent the next 8 hours overnight wrestling with my phone. The next day, I agreed to the move.
Give me 2 weeks to pack. I've got work on weekdays too, I said with conditions.
And one more thing.
We can't move in until after we've vacated our current house, right? Guessed.
Jacob agreed.
The garage was built for you, right? So as a thank you, I want to hand it over in pristine condition. Let's give it another 2 weeks after we leave for the cleaners to do their job.
Jacob agreed to this. Basically, in his absence, I made calls to 2 places. The 2 weeks flew by.
Jacob joyously packed our belongings, humming a strange song about his Harley. Even discussing room sizes and furniture placement with my Sil over the phone.
It seems there are calls about the floor plan from the other side. They were also busy preparing to move from their apartment, with the 4 weeks we gave them seeming quite short for such a task. They seemed to be hurriedly preparing for the move. Then on moving day,
Khalil, we're U-Paw movers. Announced the first moving company.
Jacob welcomed them. Come in this way. But then, hello, it's where budget van lines. It's another company arrived. Jacob was confused. I slipped past him. Come in this way, welcoming the second crew.
What's going on? Jacob barked.
What you mean? I said we could move. So let's both move to our new homes. Bye. Oh, movers, the boxes with yellow tape are mine. Please take them to this truck. The rest go with U-Haul. An hour later.
So, that's that. Thanks for everything. I'll mail the divorce papers later.
But wait a minute.
Jacob shouted in panic, but I only glanced back at him briefly.
You were the one who wanted a divorce, right?
I looked him behind and quickly got into the taxi I had called. The taxi ride was so short, the meter barely moved.
Tough day, huh?
The person waiting for the taxi approached me. It was my brother, Luke. He had come to help with the move.
Well, it's good you found a place in 2 weeks.
It's a rental, though.
I'm sure you can find another apartment or something when the mess is over. But still, it was a disaster.
It's more than a disaster. At least I marked all the essential stuff, like the rice cooker with yellow tape, so we'll manage.
Luke helped with the move. Despite the movers taking care of the large items, it was handy to have a man around for the finer details. It was a big help. With Luke's assistance, we managed to finish moving in by the end of the day.
Well, call me again in 2 weeks.
My brother went home,
And 2 weeks from now, as Luke had said.
and 2 weeks after the day I moved. My phone rang. See, here it comes,
Tulao.
I answered, and it was my Sil on the other end.
What the hell is going on?
I stayed silent, listening.
Raise crotchety. There's no house.
I stifled a laugh and slumped down, finding it hard not to burst out laughing.
It's just an empty lot. Why aren't you saying anything?
You told me to stay quiet, didn't you?
Kelly,
She shrieked in frustration. I couldn't help but laugh out loud then, hearing that Seal and Jacob were together. The phone was handed to Jacob.
Do you have to go this far?
He yelled, sounding almost in tears.
I don't appreciate being threatened.
I replied, my sides hurting from laughter.
And I told you I wanted to leave it nice for you, didn't I?
But this is not what I meant by an easy.
It's the ultimate clean.
Jacob was fuming.
There's nothing for me to talk about.
If you refuse, I won't sign the divorce papers.
You were the one who said we'd divorce if I didn't leave that house. What's with changing your tune now?
Shut up.
Elks, I'll go to your house then. But I can't go alone because I'm scared, so I'll bring someone with me.
That's how we ended up calling Luke.
my turn, huh? I'll go.
To my reliable brother indeed,
We've gathered here today.
began my Sil's husband, speaking as if we were at a wedding ceremony, something I hadn't seen him do since their actual wedding. My Sil's husband seemed timid. There we were, sitting around the dining table at Jacob's new place. Jacob, my Sil, and her husband. Of course, the child was in the next room. But the situation was dire. My Sil arrived triumphantly only to be stunned by the no empty lot. However, she couldn't go back as the apartment was already cancelled, and Jacob had hastily moved her belongings into the new construction meant for him because of this. This made for a very small space with 2 cupboards and 2 tables, 2 of everything. I thought it was horrifying to have 2 of everything so far, like something out of a TV show about on-air accidents.
How would you demolish it? This feels like a direct attack on me.
Just because my sister is straightforward and you're all sulky, you think you can take it out on us? There's a limit to being petty.
My husband and my Sil were raging. I couldn't help but laugh.
I inherited that land and house from my grandfather. It was mine to begin with, so I can do whatever I want with it.
Jacob was taken aback. That's when Luke threw in his 2 cents.
Basically, the land and house were inherited by my sister, making it her personal property, not a joint asset with her husband. In other words, her husband had no right to decide to give it to his sister.
What?
Both my Sil and my husband turned white at the unexpected turn of events.
Well, you could have just said that.
But classic brother and sister. They're saying the same thing. Somehow this was turning into my fault.
You said we'd divorce if I didn't go along with it, and as for my seal, I was told not to speak to her at all.
Being threatened with divorce by her husband and ignored by her side left her with nothing to say.
Luke and I were in sync with our defense.
So, I just decided to sell the land after demolishing the house. It was too big for me to live in alone after the divorce.
Yes, I called my brother on the day after I received the threat of divorce. On the one hand, and the other was a demolition company. It took 10 days to demolish the house. My Suchely, spending 2 hours to get here and 4 hours for a round trip. Wouldn't have been able to visit due to the short moving notice and packing frenzy. Jacob, having moved to the new construction near my Seal's old apartment, faced the same issue. This led to my grand counterattack. The lot was empty by the time they moved.
Enough already. We've lost our home. Not to mention the moving costs. We had to move into my brother's place temporarily, incurring double the expenses.
Not my problem. You tried to trespass on my property. You're lucky you didn't become a criminal by entering an empty lot. Scoffed at them. Then to Jacob.
And you call a woman who fusses over such small amounts of money straightforward. That's laughable.
Luke chimed in.
Ignoring people isn't being straightforward, it's just being gloomy.
So, you mean to say, this move was decided without sister-in-law Hazel's permission? Sil's husband, who'd been silent, finally spoke up.
Hey, what the hell is this?
Spending extravagantly every 3 months in the fancy district in Chinatown, especially the spending spree in the fancy district, was incredible, leaving me and the kid behind. The spending spree in the fancy district was incredible, leaving me and the kid behind. And now you've sold the car because we won't need it where we're moving, but living here without a car is impossible. There's a bike garage, but no parking space? Isn't this involving too many people in your unilateral decisions?
Probably having never seen her husband this angry before. I was almost in physical pain from holding back my laughter.
But I'm a remote software engineer, so I can live anywhere, and I didn't want our child to be without a mother. However, after seeing how far things have gone, I realized how selfish all this was and how it could negatively impact our child. And what you said, sister-in-law, made me see that.
Taking a deep breath.
Sweet, what you did was threatening.
That's it for us. I'll take care of and raise our child. I'll accept that threat as a proposal. Then let me add,
I said to Jacob.
I accept that proposal as well. This is truly the end for us. Goodbye.
Wait. If the house is gone, that changes things, doesn't it?
That's right. This situation has changed, so it's not fair to just end things unilaterally.
The siblings began to protest together. Sil's husband and I just waved our hands dismissively.
Creating a mess and getting excited about it, only for things to go back to how they were. That's on you.
Sil's husband said bluntly. In the end, Sil's husband and I each hired lawyers and went through mediation for our divorces. The new house built by Sil ended up with her husband, along with custody of their child. My Sil was notorious for her outings and excessive spending. The child was originally lonely because he was left alone on weekends. Now that he is in a single-parent situation, the father is able to take care of him, and the child says that he is happy with this and that he is happy because he has his father there. The reason the new house went to Sil's ex-husband was because Sil didn't have enough income to cover the mortgage payments. So with that lack of income, it is amazing that she comes to my place once every 3 months to splurge. Ultimately, her spending habits didn't change, and I heard she ended up deep in debt. The bike garage was demolished to make room for parking space adjustments. My ex-husband, having been accustomed to a dual-income lifestyle, found himself without the financial leeway to indulge in his Harley passion. After a hefty divorce settlement, he had to sell his beloved bike, losing his hobby and lashing out at his lawyer. He became despondent and turned to alcohol. I turned the vacant lot where the house once stood into a parking lot. Its proximity to the fancy district in Chinatown allowed me to charge premium parking fees, providing me with a steady income. With that capital, I eventually bought an apartment. It's small, perfect for one person, and very cozy. I settled down in front of my large screen TV, ready to enjoy forensic files with a hard seltzer in hand, uninterrupted. It's awesome! After a relaxing bath, I had the ultimate setup, bare-faced, in pajamas, with a hard seltzer in front of a large screen, watching forensic files that put some snacks ready. I sank into the sofa and pressed the remote control button.